Hello and welcome to Competology Academy, and today we are going to discuss a very important topic that is related to environment and ecology, as well as this question may be in the geography also, so specifically geography or environment and ecology. For these two papers of GS, that is GS paper 1 and GS paper 3 of UPSC, this is going to be very important. And here you will find that Supreme Court is also involved in this issue, as well as the Uttarakhand government has been scolded and given some directive by the Supreme Court with respect to this environmental issue or ecological issue, whatever you say. So we are going to discuss in detail this issue, that is forest fire. So watch the video till the end. This is going to be very informative video, as Supreme Court has given the directive. A PIL was filed in the Supreme Court, and because of that it was in news, and it is going to be an important topic that may appear in the question paper. So here let us start with the discussion. So we will discuss the topics or the issues that is related to this topic, that is causes of forest fire, what are the consequences of forest fire, and what are the solutions, what are the preventive measures or the protective measures that can be utilized to douse or to prevent the forest fire, right? So let us start. First of all, this was in news because the Supreme Court asked the Uttarakhand government to take the preventive steps. So most of the time, the what is the attitude of the administration or the government in India, that is, if there is any calamity, if there is any adverse situation, then they go on to for the curative measures, not for the preventive measures. They do not like do the earlier research, and they do not perceive the threat, and because of that what happens, they go on to do the curative measures rather than going for the preventive measure. In some situation, even they know that this may occur, this has happened in past, then also they think that okay, theek hai, hoga na bhai. So this is the attitude, and that is why the Supreme Court told that do not pin the hope on the temporary solutions of this forest fire issue, because the PIL was filed in the Supreme Court with respect to this. So here what are the temporary solutions? Rain god, Bhagwan bharose nahi rehna hai. Most of the time what happens, the forest fire is there, and the government is hoping that there will be rainfall, or in some cases the Uttarakhand government has utilized the technique of cloud seeding also for dosing of the forest fire. So here the Supreme Court has asked that the rain god or the cloud seeding, Bhagwan bharose या cloud seeding के भरोसे यहाँ पर नहीं रहना. It is not the good method or the good way to address the ecological problem. And for that matter, they asked the Uttarakhand government to take the curative measures. Uttarakhand experienced its first significant spell of rainfall this summer, and because of that, most of the forest fire was dosed. And because of that, there was some relief to the Uttarakhand government and the regions where this forest fire was raging. However, the solution that was God gifted is not a permanent solution, is not a good way or good method to address any ecological problem or geographical problem, in which the preventive actions can be taken, and there may be possibilities. Like you cannot take the preventive measure for the volcanic eruption or earthquakes. So there you can only do the better preparation. However, here the preventive measures can be taken to reduce the instances of forest fire. So this rainfall broke the spells, dry spells, brought some relief to the wildfire frenzy that was going over there, and it has affected more than thousands of hectares of forest region, this forest fire. And apart from this, although this was a rainfall, but the next different type of calamity it caused was the flood in some of the regions, right? So the Supreme Court has directed to look for the long term solution of this issue to the Uttarakhand government, right? So Now come to the history of forest fire in Uttarakhand. So the instances of forest fire is not new in Uttarakhand, and here you will find that in 2016 there was a huge forest fire in May 2016, and most of the time you will find that the forest fire occurs in the late summer season just before the rainfall itself. And why it is so, we will discuss in the coming slides. So one of its most devastating forest fire outbreak was there in the recent past, although before 2016 also Uttarakhand has experienced the forest fire, but in the recent past if we look, then this was the most ravaging, most devastating. This has ravaged the vast swaths of the forest cover, engulfing the protected areas and the human settlements also. So the protected areas, the national parks, the wildlife sanctuaries, these also got affected due to this forest fire. These were also burnt down, as well as what happened, human settlements, human population was also affected due to this forest fire. And this highlighted the inadequacy of the existing forest fire infrastructure that is available in Uttarakhand, or that is available with the Uttarakhand government. So this is a big problem for which the Uttarakhand needs a solution, and that too a permanent solution, a long-term solution that should prevent such kind of incidences of the forest fire. Here again in 2020 the same situation happened during the corona period, right? So here it exacerbated by the factors such as climate change. Why the forest fire is occurring time and again in Uttarakhand, or in the higher reaches, or in the regions where there is scarcity of rainfall, as well as the heat spills, the hot waves are occurring time and again. So here what happens, the moisture gets reduced, as well as the temperature rises due to the forest climate change. And due to this what happens, the dry leaves, twigs, whatever the discarded material of the plants or the trees are available over there just after the deciduous season, when the trees discard their leaves, are quite flammable due to the high temperature. So they get ignited quite easily because of the high temperature, as well as the carbon content or the oil content that is available in these leaves and the discarded material. And because of that, as well as because of the weather extremes, that is hot waves or the hot spells, this forest fire occurs. And that is what is happening in the Uttarakhand region. And accumulation of combustible biomass, as I mentioned, the leaves and the other things, as well as there is a lack of forest management practice in Uttarakhand or most of the regions of India, not specifically in Uttarakhand, but in most cases what you will find, that the forest management is not good, the gridding of the forest region is not there, as well as whenever there is a season after the uh, that autumn season, when the leaves, discarded leaves, twigs, etc., are at the bed of the, at the floor of the forest is available, then the forest department does not take any curative action or the preventive action to burn down them in a controlled manner. And because of that the pileup increases, and because of that the ravaging forest fires occur in these regions, right? As well as here it underscored the urgent need for the comprehensive approach for the forest fire prevention and mitigation. Already the forest fire had occurred in 2016, but still the Uttarakhand government was not taking any of this preventive action or mitigation work, or they have not developed any infrastructure, they have not purchased that much of the equipment, machineries, they have not taken care of the training of the personnels, firefighting personnels. And because of that what is happening, the next forest fire is more devastating than the previous one, right? Now come to the causes of forest fire. What are the reasons because of the because of which the forest fire is occurring so much so in the region of Uttarakhand? So first major reason is the climate change, because for which we are the culprit, all of us, not only the government but all of us. Whoever is misusing the fossil fuel is a culprit. Whoever is misusing the electricity is a culprit, because all these are coming from the fossil fuels, which is contributing the GHG, greenhouse gases, to the environment, and because of this the forest fires are occurring. So the climate change, and there are various reasons, various factors because of which the climate change is occurring, and this climate change is leading to increase in temperature, that is extreme weather conditions. Extreme weather conditions, that is extremely abnormally high temperature, low moisture content, low moisture in the air, because if the moisture will be higher, then also the forest fire will not be so devastating. And due to the low moisture, the dried material, dried combustible biomass is available, which are highly inflammable, right? Long dry spells, low moisture causing long dry spells, and due to this low pressure regions form over these regions, and due to which high wind speed situation will be there. Because if you have studied geography well, then you can clearly understand that the wind blows from the high pressure region to the low pressure region, and due to the dry spells, high wind speed, low pressure will be created, and high wind speed will be there, which spreads out the forest fire faster than anything else. And due to this, large swaths of the forest region come under the influence of forest fire. So this is one of the major reason, as well as vegetation, the type of vegetation, that is the pine trees that are there in Uttarakhand region, is again a cause of forest fire in Uttarakhand region, because the pine trees were planted by the British administration during the British India rule, British rule in India, and during that period they were planting these pine trees because these are the fast growing trees. These are a good input for the construction of the railways. Railway sleepers were being made from this, railway coaches were being made from this, as well as they were using this for the paper pulp making also. And because of this, they have planted this pine tree. So this was not native to this region, right? It is an exotic species that was brought by the Britishers, right? And the leaves and the pine needles shed by the pine trees are highly flammable, as well as there is an oil content, that is टारपेंटिन oil. हिंदी में जिसको हम लोग तारपीन का तेल भी कहते हैं, जो पेंट वगैरह में, वार्निशेस वगैरह में यूज होती है ना, वही तारपीन का तेल ये पाइन ट्री से ही आता है, right? And this is also highly flammable. So whenever there will be forest fire, even though the green pine trees are there, but their bark and the body contains the pine oil, turpentine oil, and when due to the heat of the forest fire they gets dried up, thereafter that pine oil catches the fire, which is again highly flammable, right? And due to this again the spread of the forest fire is very high. Thereafter practice of burning the leaves. So here what happens, the herders, those people who keep the livestock and they graze their livestock in the forest area, they go on to burn down these leaves. And why they burn down these leaves? Because they are of the view that if the ground will be clear of the leaves, then with the first spell of rainfall the grasses will start to grow, and as the grasses will start to grow, they will have a good pasture for their livestock. So for this reason they go on to burn the leaves, but they are not so technically prudent or advanced or knowledgeable to how to burn those leaves in a controlled manner, and most of the time mishappenings occur and the forest fire gets spread out. So this is one of the major reason. Thereafter, tourism and camping. Uttarakhand is a tourist destination. Everybody knows that, and many of the tourist peoples go on to camp over there. Go on to put their camp. They go on to have the bonfire, and when they are leaving, they do not dodge the bonfire fire completely. And if the wind speed is there available over there, then that bonfire causes the forest fire by spreading the fire throughout the forest. So this is again a major cause, as well as wood. So in Uttarakhand, the contractors get the contract for the wood cutting and paper pulp industry and the logging industry and the other things. But they get a specified area to cut down the trees, but most of the time they do not respect that contract, they do not respect that boundary, and they go on to cut more and more trees out of their bounded area or the leased area to maximize their profit. But they have to show that they have not done it. So for that matter, they go also go on to cause the forest fire and burn down some of the trees or some of the regions in the forest area, so as to show off that we have not cut these trees, but these trees got burnt down in the forest fire. But in many of the cases, what happens, they cause the fire to start, but they are unable to stop it, and this spreads out in a huge forest fire. So this is again one of the major reason, right? Now come to the next, let us have a one announcement from us, that these are the books that are being published by Competology IS Academy. So here UPSC complete book set that is available on Amazon, as well as in the book shops also in the states of Bihar and Jharkhand, and we are trying to spread out it throughout India also. But in case if you want these books, you can purchase it from Amazon as well as from our website also. The link for our website is provided in the description box below. And these are the books in English medium complete set. So this set has 19 books, this set has 20 books, as well as JPSC English medium complete set book, which is nowhere available. You can get it from us as well as from the book shops. Again here 9 book set is there, which is specifically designed for the purpose of Jharkhand Public Service Commission, specifically according to the syllabus of the exam. So you can take advantage of these study materials. If you want, then you can get it from anywhere, all the possible locations or the avenues I have mentioned. Now come to the impact of forest fire. So what is the impact of forest fire? So there is a wide and varied impact of forest fire. First of all, the loss of vegetation. The immediate impact is loss of vegetation. The forest or the greenery gets burnt down. The pine trees get burnt down, and due to this, what happens? Loss of biodiversity, because when the forest will be burnt down or it will get ravaged in the forest fire, then only particular trees will not get burned down. Many of the different species which may be available only in that particular region will get burnt down, and because of that there may be possibility of the extinction of some of the exotic species, some of the specific species which are found in this particular region only, as well as the fauna, the animal kingdom also gets affected. It is not so that the forest fire will ravage only the green plants or the trees or the bushes or the leaves only, but they will ravage anything whatever will come in their way. And because of that, many of the animal species also get burnt down, and the loss of the fauna, flora and fauna both will be there, right? Next is what? Loss of life. So in this year's forest fire itself, 5 people in Uttarakhand, 5 people in Uttarakhand lost their life, right? 5 people in Uttarakhand lost their life due to forest fire, and this was one of the major reason because of which the PIL was filed in the Supreme Court, right? And loss of property, whatever the houses, if the people got burnt down, then they might be there in their property, or they might be trying to save their property to save as much as valuables as they can get out of the way of the forest fire. And in the case of that particular haste to or hustle to save their property, they may have got burnt down to death. right? So this is the case. So the loss of property is also there, and many of the people keep their livestock in the forest areas, pastures. Many of the people have their godowns and the various other things. So all these things cause the loss of property, as well as the wood or the logs that are available in the forest area is also a property, as well as biodiversity, herbs, different species, all these are a property. So everything is getting lost. So this is the loss of property, and thereafter further environmental deterioration. So what happens whenever there, so whenever there is forest fire, whenever there is forest fire, so this forest fire causes release of huge amount of smoke, aerosols, dust particles, carbon soot, brown carbon, various things are released in the atmosphere. So because of this, what happens? Further release of the GHG gases, addition of particulate matters, etc., causes the further deterioration of the environment of the region. Next, disruption in local economy, because many of the people will not be willing to move in that region, as well as the government will have to spend for the preventive measures and the curative measures, and to resettle the people, to look after the needs of the people, livelihood of the people, medical needs of the people, food of the people. And for that matter, whatever the expenditure will be made, that is not productive expenditure, and because of that, again there will be loss to the economy. So this is again a devastating thing, and all these causes the cost incurred on the firefighting and the relief work, right? So all these will include a huge cost to the region, right? And now come to the impact of judgment of the Supreme Court, why it is important and why this was needed, right? So here the Supreme Court's judgment will create an onus on the government. Now Supreme Court के ऑर्डर को कोई भी आदमी नेग्लेक्ट कर दे या ओवरलुक कर दे, किसी की कैपेसिटी नहीं, चाहे सरकार हो, चाहे आदमी हो, चाहे कोई भी हो, Supreme Court's order is binding, last and binding, right? So here, onus will be on the government to give effect to the judgment. Now, the Supreme Court will keep a watch that whatever the directives that we had provided you, are you doing in the work in accordance with that or not? So here, the onus will be on the government. So the government will take proactive actions to improve the infrastructure, to improve the training, to provide the facilities, equipments, etc., whatever it is, to ensure the preventive measures are over there to dodge or to prevent the forest fire, right? Now accountability will be ensured. So now the government will have to answer to the Supreme Court, and for that matter there will be accountability. The accountability will be ensured of the government, that whatever you are doing are conducive to prevent the forest fire or not, are in a way productive to reduce the ill effects of forest fire or not. So these things will be looked after. Now the repository, is the most important thing in this, is that the government will have to keep the repository of the bio indicators to evaluate the losses in case of forest fire. Now the government should have all the information, that what was the condition of biodiversity, what was the availability of the flora and fauna, numbers, species, all these kind of things, their concentration, their dispersal, their area or the region where they were found. So whenever there will be the forest fire, then what is the situation after the forest fire and what was the situation earlier to the forest fire will be evaluated, and thereafter the accountability will be ensured, right? So in this case, it is a better way to ensure the accountability of the government, right? Now come to the measures to control the forest fire. So the first and the foremost measure is early warning system. Many of the times you will find that whichever the IMD regional office is in your region, they go on to send messages that there may be thunderstorm in coming 24 years, there may be forest fire in coming 24 hours, there may be lightning, there may be heavy rainfall, yellow alert, red alert. Such kind of early warning systems are available already, and these early warning systems should be made more efficient so as to predict the forest fire that may occur and to have the preventive action, to ensure the preventive action is being taken, right? So this is one of the major way. Next is community involvement. So many of the times what happens, a small forest fire or a small incidences of some kind of such things if occurs over there, and if the community involvement is over there, then the people, local people may go on to inform the local authorities that there is a forest fire that may increase. Initially they will try to dose it off in by their own, and for that matter these people should be trained and made aware of the ill effects of the forest fire and trained how to dose a forest fire, simple workshops. And if they will be well trained and they will be having a behavioral change in their mind that the forest fire are a devastating thing for the whole community, then they will take the responsibility to dose the forest fire. And in case if they are not capable of doing that, then they may go on to inform the local authorities. This is also a possible thing. So these all will be helpful, right? Next, investment in infrastructure. So already we have discussed why infrastructure is important. Infrastructure, machinery, training, and all those kind of things. Development of the manpower who should look after the forest events of forest fire, etc. Next is policy intervention. There is a need of change in policy, need in change of management of the forest fire, forest regions. There are various initiatives, like if you divide the forest in the grid type section with the internal roads, and if there is a forest fire going on in this region, then this may not get spread to the other regions. So here such kind of initiatives, policy changes, enforcement of law and order and the other things, enforcement of better enforcement of forest act, reducing the illegal activity, changing the policy of tourism and camping and the other things, all these will be very helpful in reducing the forest fire. Next is research and innovation. So here there is a need of research and innovation in how to reduce the events of forest fire, what kind of species are conducive for that agroclimatic region, what should be the future events that may occur and that should be taken care of. For that matter, what do we need to do at that at the present time? So such kind of research initiatives is needed. Next is in strict enforcement of the environmental laws. So most of the time only the laws are passed, and there is a uh, पॉपुलर सेइंग इन इंडिया, लॉज आर मेड टू बी ब्रोकन, कानून बनाई है तोड़ने के लिए. बट दिस सिनेरियो शुड बी चेंज्ड, the attitude of people should be changed to reduce the occurrence of forest fire, and for that matter environmental laws should be strictly implemented. Illegal camping, illegal tourism, illegal cutting of trees, illegal collection of the minor forest produce, all these kind of things should be restricted, should be taken care of. Next is technological intervention. So technologies should be developed through research and innovation on how to reduce the impact of forest fire, how to prevent a forest fire from spreading out. So such kind of things, such kind of machinery should be developed. And interagency coordination. So here most of the time what happens, interagency coordination is needed. Why it is so? Because most of the time what is happening, the forest department is saying that the home department that forest fire is raging and all those kind of things वहां देखते हैं. So coordination and cooperation between the different departments, between the different agencies of the government is the key to reduce the impact of such kind of disasters, and that is needed to be improved. And all you know that the chief secretary of the state is the focal point for ensuring the coordination and cooperation between the different departments, and for that matter, in such cases he should take the initiative to take action. Then only the interagency cooperation will be increased. Now come to the conclusion. So there was a need to come into picture for the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court was hearing a PIL on which earlier also the Supreme Court had given some directives to the state, but they had not taken action, and now they have given strict directives, and now they are ensuring the accountability also. And this is a landmark intervention, although it is judicial activism, but it is a landmark judgment. Why it is so? Because the forest fire and the forest management is a complex issue, not only in Uttarakhand but throughout India. And for that matter, a proper dedicated department, proper dedicated initiative, proper dedicated research, proper dedicated machinery, infrastructure, etc. is needed, which was being overlooked. And for that matter, Supreme Court intervention is a landmark thing, and it was needed. And this is signaling a paradigm shift towards the proactive, participatory, and technologically driven approaches for the wildfire management and the environmental issues. Earlier what was happening? लग गया अपने बुझ जाएगा, अभी कुछ दिन में बारिश होने वाली है, भगवान भरोसे, रेन गॉड. So that was the attitude, and because of this, much of the devastation was occurring just for the indifferent attitude. And here, after this judgment, after this directive judgment, participatory, proactive, and technology driven approaches will be developed, and this will ensure a better wildfire management and environmental stewardship. Right now, it sets a precedent for the judicial activism in promoting the environmental justice. Earlier what was happening? Only the proactive action or the such kind of judgments was coming from the NGT, National Green Tribunal, which is a dedicated forum for looking after the environmental issues. But now after this, many of the states will start taking action so moto. बोलेंगे क्या, उत्तराखंड स्टेट को भैया थोड़ा पड़ गया. It may be the case with us also, so why not to start earlier? So this will change the attitude of the state government, this will change the attitude of the executive, the administrative system, and this is going to be a good thing for the forest management issue throughout India, right? And this judiciary's pivotal role in safeguarding the natural heritage and the national heritage for the future generation is going to be a pivot. This is going to be जिसको कहते हैं ना हिंदी में नजीर साबित होगी, because the forest, biodiversity, etc. is not the property of any individual or any individual generation or the government or anything else, but it is the property of the present community, whole world, as well as the property for the coming generations. And we are just the custodian, we are just the caretaker of this. We are enjoying the fruits of the or the benefits of this good environment and ecological condition, and as a custodian we are enjoying it so as to pass it on to the next generation. Otherwise वही चीज होगा, फ्यूचर जनरेशन भी क्या कहेगी, कभी हाथी हुआ करते थे, जो आज के डेट में हम लोग कहते हैं कभी डायनासोर हुआ करते थे. So that may be the case. So as to avoid such kind of situation, this judgment is going to be a cornerstone in this issue, right? So here we finish off. Thank you very much for watching the video till the end. If you like the video, then please go on to press the like button, share also it with your friends, so as to spread the information, the good things and the other informations related to forest fire. Please do subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get notified whenever we come up live or whenever we upload such new videos. And for the books, courses and other things, you can visit our website, that is www.competology.com, and stay connected to watch the upcoming videos. Thank you very much and have a nice day.